Good evening, Kenya. It's 9 p.m. and you're right in time for our broadcast tonight. It's also Tuesday and Sidebar is lined up for you straight after the news because right here on NTV, facts and news come fast. The reigning hashtag for tonight is Cartel Country. We have all the stories making headlines both nationally and internationally for you. But first, the headlines.
Tonight, Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu's day at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
In one of my investment company, my daughter is a signatory.
The questions about his financial dealings and even more questions about the judge who released him on anticipatory bail. Also, former Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission boss Michael Mubea was also facing tough questions in Parliament.
If you are a mafia, why can't you be arrested? Am I above the law?
His search for redemption and a new job as an ambassador. Plus, the Kenya Revenue Authority is also searching. Who will be the new Commissioner General? It's down to 5 candidates. We tell you who they are. And also tonight,
because of some reasons, bunduki zote ziwe registered, ziwe branded.
Wakichukua au wenzetu wanakuja tu kufahamia kwa sababu hatuna silaha zingine za kujikinga nayo.
The new battlefront between the government, leaders and residents living in the shadow of the gun in Baringo.
NTV Tonight with Ken Mijungu.
A very, very good evening and welcome to the broadcast. My co-pilot tonight is David Agundoa. In a stunning admission, Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu has confirmed that he owns an investment company with his daughter, Monica Njeri, who is accused of holding deposits in her bank account from the county finances. Waititu, who presented himself at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for grilling session, maintains he was not involved in siphoning money from Kiambu County coffers through irregular tender processing. Interestingly, however, Waititu claims he has amassed properties through bank loans running into billions of shillings. NTV's Mel Miendo is getting that story ready for you. But let's move forward because we'll be back on our story one. The anti-corruption agencies are reportedly getting uncomfortable with some courts granting orders that they say are hampering their efforts to curb corruption. Sources within the EACC indicate that the commission may raise issues with such officers with the Chief Justice and is likely to start with the Kiambu Principal Magistrate who granted bail barring the Governor Waititu's arrest.
Just when the EACC had moved into the residential premises of the Kiambu governor in the ongoing probe into corrupt practices at the county, the governor put a stop to the sleuth's activity through the courts. Last week, a Kiambu magistrate issued anticipatory bail, saving the governor from arrest and lockup. Instead, the governor presented himself to the EACC today for further grilling. The EACC, which has expressed its displeasure with the court's actions, are now seeking to escalate the issue to the head of the Judiciary. Sources at the EACC say the commission is on course to report the judges and magistrates who issue such orders that make it impossible to do their work. The EACC source intimated to NTV that Kiambu Principal Magistrate Brian Haemba, who issued the anticipatory bail, was not at work prior to the application by the governor's lawyers. It is alleged that he interrupted his day away from his workplace for the purpose of issuing the now controversial orders and then took off again. The role of the judiciary in fighting graft has in the past come under sharp scrutiny, and the attention of the Chief Justice has been looped into the situation.
I understand the impatience of the Kenyans because of the serious corruption in our country.
The EACC's protest on the judiciary's handling of the Kiambu case comes as governors called on the investigating agencies to handle arrests of their colleagues with respect. The Council of Governors also wants the arrest conducted away from the glare of the media cameras, as it amounts to unfairly trying them as suspects in public without giving them the benefit of the due process of the law. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Well, just to add, that was an anticipatory bail that was granted to Ferdinand Waititu. Now, the journey to recruit a new Commissioner General at the Kenya Revenue Authority moved a step forward as the board has made public a list of 5 finalists in the John Njeraini succession. Dan Mwangi now gives us the details. Dan?
The Kenya Revenue Authority has over the past years been growing its revenue collections but has consistently failed to meet the target set by the National Treasury. This is one of the chapters in the book that is John Jiraine's 7-year tenure as the KRA Commissioner General. Now, he has over the years promised to hit the targets but has missed them by billions of shillings. A man who has been seen to be more powerful than many expected for a man in his office. Some argue that he is, quote, trying to succeed himself by pushing for his preferred candidates. This tenure has been controversial and his exit has kept this fire burning. Now, the tough, pressure-laden task will be shifted to one of 5 men. Yes, no more chance for a woman at this point, as per what the KRA board has shortlisted. Let's look at who they are and the taxing job ahead. The towering building that is Times Tower stands symbolic of the tall order that sits on Treasury's menu. Trillions of shillings worth of collection in taxes to finance the ever-increasing budgets. The greatest pressure sits with the Commissioner General. John Jiraine has been in office since 2012 when Uhuru Kenyatta, the then finance minister, appointed him. But as some had hoped a few years ago, his time at the authority is over and some of his critics are over the moon. The board says that there were 30 applicants, 28 of whom were men. Neither of the 2 women made it to the final shortlist of 5. First is Julius Mwatu, who is the national chairman of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC. KPMG East Africa's former chief executive officer and senior partner, Richard Ndongo, is also one of the 5. Andrew Kazora Okello, a former senior executive at KRA and currently the International Monetary Fund's regional advisor in charge of East and Central Africa on tax matters, is a potential CG at the KRA. KRA's Commissioner for Intelligence and Strategic Operations, James Gethi Mboro, is also in the list. Insiders say that he is an Jiraine man. Actually, they argue that the Commissioner General created a specific role for Mboro which would aid his ascension into power. Mboro is the man who spearheaded the recent raids at KRA amid complaints by staff, some of whom have decried his shortlisting. Duncan Otieno Onduru is the 5th man on the list. He is currently the executive director of the Commonwealth Association of Tax Administrators. He was the head of audit policy at the Kenya Revenue Authority years ago. The process, which has been conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers, has been a difficult one, with vested interests and politics grabbing a seat at the table. The season of recruitment has seen drastic measures such as the president's hand when he replaced majority of the authority's board amid boardroom battles. The shortlist has left some uneasy, including staff who say that they neither want a KRA employee nor an ISPAC man. They feel this would amount to having an Jiraine proxy in office. This desire covers all the 5 finalists as they are either KRA, ex-KRA or ISPAC. The authority board chairman, Francis Muthaura, has called on members of the public to provide any relevant information on the 5 men not later than the 31st of May. Dan Mwangi, NTV.
And it was always going to get ugly when detectives camped at Times Towers to investigate what is perhaps the biggest tax evasion scandal in recent time. But corruption fights back, and it's doing so in a spectacular manner at the Kenya Revenue Authority, where the management has quietly suspended 4 critical functions of its tax system due to what it calls incidents of system abuse. In an internal memo to staff, the management says it has temporarily suspended iTax functions, among them tax compliance certificate approvals, tax return amendments of assessment and ledger amendments, including capture of waiver penalties and interests. Meanwhile, the board has already shortlisted 5 candidates to replace Commissioner General John Jiraine, even as a go-slow by junior workers over the ongoing corruption investigations threaten to cripple operations at the crucial institution. For the inside story and more, including former Principal Secretary Lilian Omolo Mbogo's Mystery Farm straight from a fairy tale novel, and the Kenyan athlete who won unlikely accolades in Nigeria, do not miss a copy of the Daily Nation tomorrow. Right, let's take you back now to our top story. And Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu has confirmed that he owns an investment company with his daughter, Monica Njeri, who is accused of holding deposits in her bank account from county finances. Waititu, who presented himself at the EACC for a grilling session, maintains he was not involved in siphoning money from Kiambu County coffers through irregular tender processing. Interestingly, however, Waititu claims he has amassed properties through bank loans running into billions of shillings. NTV's Mel Miendo has the details.
For close to 7 hours on Tuesday, Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu was grilled by EACC detectives on the irregular tendering process in his county of an amount of over 580 million shillings. Waititu presented himself at the EACC to answer to questions that detectives had sought, having requested banks to provide details of 50 accounts suspected to hold deposits from county finances. Among those accounts was one belonging to Waititu's eldest daughter, Monica Njeri, alleged to hold 100 million shillings. She was also summoned by detectives. And as it turns out, Waititu confirms the money in his daughter's account does exist, but he insists it is from a supposed investment company. Njeri has been an integral part in investigations, with detectives saying she appears to be the one who controlled the family transactions.
In my family companies, one of my daughters is a signatory.
Yeah. So why was she linked to the county court?
No, because I have invested properties in that company.
EACC detectives also sought to establish the source of wealth, where Waititu acquired 35 different properties, including luxurious mansions being constructed in Runda Estate, the Delta Hotel building worth billions of shillings, and a luxurious tourist hotel located in Naivasha. This wealth is what Waititu was gloating about early this year before detectives weighed in on him.
Hata kuna mambo ingine yangu mingi ambaye hawajui. Siku ingine mtu waniulize nitembeze nikuoneshe mali yangu. Nitaonesha wengine watacommit suicide.
Needless to say, this was by far a very different Waititu from the one seen today at the EACC headquarters after detectives grilled him, especially on how he acquired his property. EACC detectives confirmed that the documents recovered from the governor's residences indicated transfer and ownership of properties. 12 personal cars were recovered, most of which belong to the governor. Waititu is also accused of conflict of interest and money laundering. It is reported that the county boss was involved in the irregular award of tenders, which he vehemently denies. Governor Waititu, his wife Susan Wangari, 5 senior county officials and 2 directors of companies said to have benefited from tenders worth hundreds of millions of shillings from the county have since recorded statements with police. Detectives say the probe will extend to other relatives of the governor, members of the Kiambu County Assembly and county government employees. As it now stands, Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu will perhaps be coming back to the EACC offices, but it is not known as to when he will be here. For now, he has been grilled together with his daughter with regards to the irregular tendering process in Kiambu County. Mel Miendo, NTV, at the EACC headquarters in Nairobi.
Well, I still want to be alive, so I'll not ask Kiambu Governor to show me his property. And if you're watching the Senate this afternoon, you know Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula appeared in public for the first time after he returned from an anti-corruption conference in Hong Kong amid reports that he could be interrogated imminently. Wetangula has been mentioned in the ongoing probe in the fake gold scam, but he steered clear of that topic when he spoke in the Senate.
In this country today, almost every household owes money to somebody. Informal lending, online lending, Shylocks, and all manner of people, Mr. Speaker, are practicing unlawfully.
And Moses Masika Wetangula also owes Kenyan something, an explanation on how he is connected to the gold scam. Still, the senator is steering clear of the subject.
My brother, I've told you, just know that it's going to be done.
But this is why we heard almost these 5 months, Moses. If we know that there are any movement on this gold, and these things of these people, believe me, any movement will be a disaster for all of you, myself is included. Because
there will be none whatsoever. Take my word, my brother.
The authenticity of that phone call is yet to be established, but the conversation is believed to be between the Bungoma senator and an unknown businessman. Sources within the DCI say that Wetangula, who is now considered a person of interest, could be interrogated anytime from tomorrow. In 2010, Wetangula had to step aside as the Minister for Foreign Affairs over alleged misuse of public funds for several land deals outside the country. According to a parliamentary report, the then minister was in charge when Kenya lost more than 1 billion shillings in the purchase of land to host Kenya's embassy in Japan.
If anybody wants a divorce, it will be messy, it will be noisy, and it will not be easy.
Wetangula has recently weathered a political storm as his party Ford Kenya sought to find its place in the NASA coalition. Ford Kenya has also steered away from the fake gold scam allegations against their party leader. As investigations continue, one victim of the fake gold scam claims his life is in danger after he received threats from unknown people. The foreigner, who says he lost more than 20 million shillings, says he has received at least 3 calls from an unidentified number. Seth Olale, NTV.
Well, in this country, everyone owes someone something. And to a story now where someone owed Parliament an explanation. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Deputy Chief Exec Michael Mubea today had a hard time defending himself against claims of being a stumbling block in the fight against corruption. Mubea, who was appearing before the National Assembly's Defense and Foreign Relations Committee for the vetting of his nomination to the position of an ambassador to Ireland, was accused of becoming a mafia within the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, usurping roles of commissioners and hiding files to protect suspects, claims that he denied. Another nominee, Mwende Mwenzi, was also put on the spot for her dual citizenship. NTV's Silas Apollo with that report.
For the state, EACC Deputy Chief Executive Officer Michael Mubea was today put to his defense over accusations that he has been frustrating the war on corruption. Mubea was before the National Assembly's Foreign Relations Committee, which was vetting his suitability for the position of ambassador. The committee put him to task on his role in the fight against corruption. Mubea's term at the EACC has not been short of controversies, from accusations of adopting a mafia-like leadership within the EACC to colluding with suspects to hide away files with the aim of frustrating prosecutions.
Within the circles within the profession and within EACC, quietly they refer to you as a mafia within EACC.
Investigations in the EACC are not shoddy. We have investigators who are professionals, who are thoroughly trained internally and outside there.
Others accused him of usurping commissioners' roles. His term has also been marred by claims of receiving double salaries, all which he denies.
For me, I know I have no apologies to make for this. I have been hard in as far as fighting corruption is concerned. I don't compromise. That is me. And for that, I have attracted a few enemies who malign my name in all manner of ways.
The first time Mubea was mentioned for impropriety was in 2016, when the commission suspended him and sent him on a forced leave. At the time, he was in charge of investigations, crime prevention, legal services, and holding nearly all EACC's instruments of power. He would later be reinstated after the intervention of his then immediate boss, Halake Wako. Mubea would later be involved in the saga surrounding the sale of the Integrity Center. It is these accusations that led some to conclude that his nomination was part of a scheme by President Uhuru Kenyatta to lock him out of the EACC, claims that he denies. Mubea will be Kenya's ambassador in Dublin.
If you are a mafia, why can't you be arrested? Am I above the law? I'm not above the law. I can be arrested.
Another nominee, Mwende Mwenzi, also had a hard time defending her dual citizenship before the committee. Mwenzi lost the Mwingi West parliamentary seat in the last election. Others who appeared before the committee are Kariuki Mugwe, who will represent Kenya in Abu Dhabi, Peter Angore, who will be based in Algiers, Flora Karugu, who will be in Lusaka, Diana Kiambuthi, who will head to Stockholm, and Njambi Kinyunju, who will be based at the UN Habitat. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Let's take you to Baringo now, where a section of leaders from the county have criticized the government for withdrawing guns from the Kenya Police Reservists in the county, saying it has led to increased insecurity. Their disarmament follows claims that some NPRs were turning their guns against residents of the counties under their jurisdiction.
More than 400 firearms have been withdrawn from National Police Reservists in Baringo County. The vetting exercise, which started 2 weeks ago, saw police reservists in Tiati, Baringo South and North sub-counties surrender their guns for registration. According to the government, the aim of the vetting is first and foremost the complete elimination of guns in the wrong hands.
Hii ni msimamo ya National Security Advisory Council. Bunduki zote ziwe registered, ziwe branded, ndio sababu hiyo kazi ikaanza Baringo, ikaenda Marsabit, Marakwet.
The vetting exercise will also help in weeding out reservists who might be compromised and those advanced in age. However, area leaders claim armed bandits took advantage of the absence of reservists and descended on villages, killing innocent people.
Machankili zaidi ya 100 tayari wako ndani ya sehemu za Partapwa na sehemu za Saimosoi na zile sehemu ziko na shida. I think the government should come open. They should tell us actually what is behind this. Is it politics of 2022? What is it?
The leaders now want the officers to be facilitated with the guns as soon as possible.
Tunaona tutakuwa na shida kwa sababu wakichukua au wenzetu wanakuja tu kufahamia kwa sababu hatuna silaha zingine za kujikinga nayo.
Mpaka tupatiwe askari, unless muletezi askari lori 5 ama 20 ambayo itakata watu wetu ndio mchukue mbunduki zenu.
About 11,000 police reservists provide security support in hard-to-reach areas with limited numbers of security officers, poor communication and road infrastructure.
Away from that and to news from the courts. The Court of Appeal has dismissed charges facing 7 senior parliamentary staff members who were accused of conspiracy to steal over 70 million shillings. The 3-judge bench set aside the ruling of the High Court that ordered that they be prosecuted. The DPP had appealed the decision of the High Court that acquitted them. They were charged in the Chief Magistrate's Court with 9 counts of conspiracy to commit felony, abuse of office and making a document without authority. The matter came up for mention before Chief Magistrate Francis Andai, but the defense lawyers relayed to the court the decision of the Court of Appeal. The magistrate, however, said he will first peruse the appeal court's judgment before giving further directions. And elsewhere, Joseph Joey Rungu, a suspect in the murder of businesswoman Monica Kimani, made a fresh application to be released on bail. Irungu told the court that his circumstances had changed and his family was willing to deposit as security. He also told the court he will not interfere with witnesses or travel abroad since he had deposited his passport with the court. He was ordered to appear tomorrow for direction on the hearing pending the judge's ruling of the matter on the 18th of June. All right, time now for a short break. See you on the other side. Welcome back. Our sign language interpreter tonight is David Agundoa. Now, the dispute between Nairobi County Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko and city businessman Patrick Nderitu over a piece of land in Buruburu has taken a new twist. Sonko wants orders obtained by Nderitu to evict a church and the school in Buruburu dismissed and has moved to court seeking the same. Meanwhile, trustees of the disputed piece of land at Glad Tidings Crusade Ministries say they had legally sold the piece of land and notified the tenants who are the church and the Kinderstart School. NTV's Sharon Baranga reports.
At Kinderstart School in Buruburu, learning is ongoing despite the hiccup the institution experienced at the weekend when goons invaded the premises and tried to eject them forcefully. This resulted to an altercation between Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko and Patrick Nderitu, who says he bought the land from trustees of the Glad Tidings Crusade Ministry, who have been custodians of the piece of land since 1983.
Wanafunzi wengi wakati walikuja jana walikuwa bado na mshtuko. Wengi walikuwa na mshtuko.
So it begins from here. Members of the trustee that manages the land, Christine Opiko, Frederick Agua and Edward Otino, say they sold the piece of land to Landmark International Properties, which is owned by Patrick Nderitu. They then informed their tenants, who are the church and school, of the change in management.
Once you get a notice, what is so hard to come and say, why don't you give me more time? But here is a case where we give you notice, you don't even respond. So we really don't know what is happening behind the scenes.
The events that happened at the weekend were felt on Monday when the governor sent county staff to demolish Pimp My Ride premises at what was formerly Simas Club along Kenyatta Avenue, which happens to have been rented by Nderitu, who then rented the place out to business people. The governor says the structures on the land were illegal.
If only they'll pay me the rent. We can sit down with them. They agree they pay me the rent because I'm the owner of that property. If they don't pay me the rent, I'll still go to court.
Through his lawyer, Harrison Kinyanjui, Sonko is petitioning the commercial court to set aside orders obtained by Nderitu over the land in Buruburu. He is also seeking to have the suit filed by Nderitu struck out and dismissed. Senior Resident Magistrate Emmanuel Wanjala declined to give the orders sought by Sonko, but certified the matter as urgent and enjoined the county government of Nairobi and a trustee called Joan Ochola as an interested party. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Away from that dispute, 2 weeks ago we brought you the sad story of baby Ethan, who died at the hands of Shalom Community Hospital staff. Now today, even as the family of the 7-month-old baby are still seeking justice, that facility has been reopened. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board allowed the hospital in Machakos to be reopened after what they termed as thorough investigations and inspection of the facility that came about as a result of the mysterious death of the baby in May. Initial investigations showed that the baby was injected with an overdose of morphine. His parents had taken him to the hospital after a minor burn. Baby Ethan, who was buried on 15th of May, suffered internal bleeding of the brain as a result of intoxication. 3 suspects are already in court over that death of the young boy and were charged with manslaughter, among other charges. Now, business activities along River Road in Nairobi's Central Business District grounded to a halt for hours after businessmen and traders and the Kenya Mpya Sacco drivers and conductors clashed over the parking spaces. NTV's Helen Wenjohi has the details.
An angry mob throwing stones at a bus, forcing the driver to drive away. The Kenya Mpya Bus Sacco and traders along Munya, Gaborone and Timborwa lanes have been at loggerheads over parking spaces. The traders making their feelings clear on banners. They say this struggle has been going on too long. The bus drivers and conductors pulled down the banner, unshaken by the threats. The drama forcing the traders and drivers to close shop. The disagreement paralyzed part of River Road, bringing to a standstill any movement of vehicles for more than 2 hours.
We've paid for parkings and loading zones. These loading zones have been taken over by the buses, yet we are paying annually and we cannot access. We cannot access goods into our shops. Neither do our customers have a way to go out. So you can see the stalemate, and we're asking the government to come. All we need is to sit down and talk and agree, because this should not happen.
The traders claim that a certain man by the name Chepchumba is working with cartels to issue parking slots to the matatus, and yet the slots have been taken.
This is something we are not going to accept. Members, we know very well, even the hotels here have been closed down. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Ni kweli ama si kweli? Na sasa, hii ni mwanzo tu. Tumempatia Sonko na watu yake masaa 24.
The drivers, on the other hand, claim that they have been in business for more than 6 years along that road and no complaints have been made, adding that the attacks are employed to have the Kenyan PSV business destroyed.
Kanjo wameshindwa kumaintain pale. Sasa wanaleta issue ya gari ndo zinafu. Hawa sasa nao kuna wase wako pale nao mbele wanaanza kuseduce hizi magari zinatoka ziende kubeba wapi? For hiyo gari ni alone. Itaenda kubebea wapi?
Gari kutoka Nairobi kwenda Mweki ni 100 na sisi tunabeba na Chwani kutoka hapa kwenda Thika. 50 peke yake ndio tusaidia hadi mkulima mdogo. Hiyo gari inakuja kusaidia sasa mtu anaenda commercial kila mahali anakujanga kwa Kenya mpya.
Luthuli Avenue, where the buses have their pickup points, was closed on Wednesday, May 22nd till 30th of May by the county government for construction works that will see it converted into a one-way street. Helen Wanjohi, NTV.
Time for another short break. Dan Mwangi will be back with business news. Stay with us.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. My name is Dan Mwangi. The Central Bank of Kenya is expressing confidence that Stawi, the product it launched last week to provide unsecured loans to small and medium enterprises, will be able to break through in reaching out to the segment that had found it rough accessing funding from formal channels. Alex Mwangi looks at why this is a slap in the face of the interest rate cap, which Treasury itself admits is not working, but which it seemingly is unable to review.
The Central Bank of Kenya has time and again given the negatives that the interest rate cap on loans for banks that became law in 2016 have had on the economy. To have the law discarded requires political backing, and this is where the CBK was left to its own devices by the executive. The CBK is now trumpeting Stawi, which currently has 5 banks on board and provides unsecured loans via mobile phones, as the real deal when it comes to lending to micro, small and medium enterprises.
This product, it has legs, and it can be very far-reaching. So even as, maybe you could say that we needed the interest rate cap sort of pushed us out of our comfort zone. And after all, every innovation requires some pressure.
With the central bank having played a key role in the development and rollout of Stawi, I sought to find out from the governor whether the platform is now out to finish the job that the interest rate cap has failed to achieve.
So in that sense, we could not sit waiting. We could not. And this is why we therefore led. This is why we did take this matter, grab the bull by the horns, and said, okay, fine, let's do something. Let's bring banks together and see if they can come up with an innovative product.
Growth in credit to the private sector, a critical measure of the health of an economy, has remained suppressed in recent years and in the 12 months up to April, grew by 4.9%.
We are still far away from where we expect to be, which is in the order of 8%. Remember, in the end also, once this product really works, it will be available to everybody in the country at the same time.
The governor also expressed his concern at a matter which remains largely unaddressed, but one which adversely affects the velocity of money.
I think this idea of delayed payments is significant. We've been flagging this issue again and again and again. I think we've been doing this for at least 1 year now. The county governments are particularly at fault in terms of delaying payments. And also the private sector. Private sector is also at fault.
The CBK is keenly looking at developments in the global economy as the trade tariff wars between the US and China threatened to slow down growth in 2019. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Now, the issue of rogue digital lending applications on mobile phones has now come to the attention of the Central Bank of Kenya as well as the Senate. The CBK governor, that's Patrick Njoroge, says the lenders cross boundaries when they send text messages to the contact list of customers once they default on their loans. The Senate has also started debating the matter with a view to creating a legal regulatory environment as a number of Kenyans continue to take on more debt through the convenience of the platforms.
All I can say is this. Online lenders, we have not licensed them. So there's a bit of caveat emptor, right? Which is really dangerous. If somebody dips into their contacts and then sends messages to most people on my contact list, I'll believe it. I'll believe it.
The low rates since the capping, in cahoots with these mobile operators, Mr. Speaker, if you get an interest of 10% per month, when you compute it annually, it's 120%, way above, Mr. Speaker. A lot of young people are in debt. A lot of Kenyans are in debt. They also, they're even being auctioned, Mr. Speaker, because of this.
And then they can't eat, they can't do anything because they have overborrowed. And it is not right, Mr. Speaker, that people can profiteer from the misery of our young people.
The Cabinet Secretary of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Peter Munya, has hit out at the government for what he says is criminalizing small and medium enterprises. His remarks came during the opening launch of the second Intra-Commonwealth Small Medium Enterprises Association Trade Summit held in Nairobi.
Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has called out the government for treating small and medium businesses like criminal enterprises. He claims that the government's habit of clamping down on SMEs who do not adhere to certain regulations could result in them ending up in real criminal activities.
Small businesses will always have challenges of meeting certification. So instead of working on how to support them and help them and train them and build capacity for them to upgrade their processes and the standards to meet, you use the armor, the police, the county council askaris to harass them.
The Cabinet Secretary spoke during the opening launch of the Inter-Commonwealth SME Association Trade Summit that seeks to engage closely with businesses across the 35 Commonwealth countries in a bid to increase global trade competitiveness.
For high-level officials will consider policy options of deepening and expanding Commonwealth connection to boost growth and commerce. The Innovation and Technology platform offers space for SMEs to showcase the inventive ideas and to pitch for partnership and for investment.
Presently, intra-Commonwealth trade amounts to almost 20% of the total global trade of the Commonwealth. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
If you're a frequent long-distance traveler or you intend to travel long distance, you can now book your bus ride via your phone and pay for the ticket using M-Pesa. Safaricom has entered into a partnership with BooPass, in which travelers can make online travel arrangements with Easy Coach, Modern Coast, Greenline, Palmers, and East African Safaris bus companies. The service seeks a slice of the local intercity transport industry, estimated to be worth more than 100 billion shillings annually, but which is also characterized by low uptake of technology and digital solutions. The two firms have been working on the bus ticketing solution for more than a year and have already sold more than 80,000 tickets across more than 100 routes, they say, and are looking to open the service for 20 more bus companies by the end of the year. Business is done, so am I. Have yourselves a good night.
Welcome back, and let's now look at news making headlines around the world. And wooden passenger boats that are more than 5 years old are to be banned from a lake in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where hundreds of people are feared to have drowned over the weekend. At least 45 people died when an overcrowded boat sank on Lake Maindobe in DRC. 200 people are still remaining missing. DR Congo sees frequent boat accidents on its waterways, which are popular means of transport across the country. And in Sudan, protesters continue to stage their nationwide strike in a bid to have the military hand over power to a civilian-led government. The demonstrators brought operations in Khartoum at a standstill. The protesters, who hotly chanted freedom slogans to pile pressure on the military, were adamant that they want their demands met and do not want the military to rule over the nation. The protests will continue into tomorrow. Called on more civilians to join in. And finally, in Japan, a knife-wielding man attacked a group of school children waiting for a bus in the Japanese city of Kawasaki near Tokyo. An 11-year-old student and a foreign ministry official believed to be a parent of another child were killed in that incident. At least 18 people were injured in the incident, with 2 fatalities reported. The suspect was holding knives in both hands as he attacked the victims. He later stabbed himself in the neck after his rampage. Right, from the international news, we take another break. Sean Cardiff Village will be back with the sports news.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Sean Carter-Villis with the latest sports news now. Simon Cheprot, a Kenyan long-distance runner, has won the hearts of many in the country and across the world after giving up a possible win to rescue a compatriot who had collapsed during the Okpepke 10-kilometer road race that was held in Nigeria over the weekend. Lois Wangui caught up with him at his Iten home and filed this report.
Simon Cheprot sits outside his house in the company of his pastor. He is a man content after failing to win the Okpekpe 10-kilometer road race in Edo State, Nigeria. A winner in 2016 and on his way to victory in 2019, Cheprot sacrificed possible victory by an act of selflessness.
So I saw this guy anaenda meanders in the road, mguu inapigana. Wakati karibu nikaribia nikaona jamaa na fall down. And then he started rolling. Just almost 50 meters karibu nifikie ana roll. Wenzangu wenye walikuwa na yeye just kila mtu anakimbilia kwa kamba. I decided myself wakati nilikuwa natoka nyuma nikaona huyu jamaa ameumia.
With only 4 athletes in front of him, Cheprot was planning to kick and get on the podium, but seeing his teammate and fellow Kenyan Kenneth Kipkemoi collapse made him curtail his ambition to win and turn on his human nature.
And then I carry him.
Even as Kenyans and athletics lovers continue to celebrate this selfless champion, many, like his friend and pastor, Elias Kimutai, are yet to know about it in his home at Iten.
If people would be putting people's life more than money, the world can become a small heaven.
Cheprot may have lost the race, but he has won the hearts of many as a true sportsman. His kind deed earned him $1 million Kenyan shillings from local politicians in the state of Edo, Nigeria, where the race was held. And if any Kenyan would love to gift him to, Cheprot has a proposal for you.
Naomba tu ulichenge kanisa na pastor wangu hapa. Mimi ni kiongozi ya wasee kanisani, lakini hatuna kanisa tunakomboa.
As the old adage goes, one good turn deserves another. Liz Wangoi, NTV Sports, Eldoret.
And in case you're wondering, Cheprot finally finished in 15th place. Now, the national football team Harambee Stars makes a return to the Africa Cup of Nations after a 15-year absence, and Kenyan children aged between 6 and 10 years have a chance to be part of the action. Visa is giving children from across the country the opportunity to lead some of the world's best footballers onto the pitch, and that's during the Africa Cup of Nations in a digital campaign dubbed Unstoppable Stories. Kenyans are invited to share unique stories highlighting the achievements of the children on Visa social media pages, and that's for the next 2 weeks, after which a panel of judges will review the entries and come up with a shortlist. Then the public will be asked to vote, and the top 5 finalists will be selected to attend the AFCON 2019 matches in Egypt.
And what do you mean by an unstoppable story? It means if you have come through hardships in life, if you've had challenges financially, mentally, physically, now you have the opportunity to be able to actually be nominated by a peer or a parent through the social media platforms. And this is a special thing for kids because, as a kid, you grow up dreaming about playing in a global stage, but also just being next to a global icon.
And by the way, if you were active on social media, you may have seen a photo of a Kenyan boy who was herding cattle while wearing an improvised Arsenal jersey that went viral on Twitter, and that led to him being gifted an Arsenal jersey by Mesut Ozil. The boy Lawrence Mashira will be among the Visa player escorts at AFCON 2019. Well, staying with football, the 2018-19 Kenyan Premier League season comes to an end on Wednesday, with the focus being on the team which will finish third from bottom and have to play in the promotion relegation playoff, as well as who will bag the Golden Boot. With Mount Kenya and Vihiga relegated, Chemelil Sugar on 31, Zukaricha on 32 and Poster Rangers on 32 will be keen to avoid finishing 16th and having to play the team that places third in the National Super League for a place in the KPL. Regarding the Golden Boot, Kakamega Homeboys' Alan Wanga leads with 18 points ahead of Sofapaka's Umaru Kasumba and Ulinzi's Enosh Ocheng, who have 17. Incidentally, Sofapaka face Homeboys in Mombasa. Champions Gor Mahia, who won the title for a third time in a row, will conclude their campaign against Mathare United in Machakos. Now, only 60 cars will be permitted to enter this year's edition of the Safari Rally that will be run from the 5th to the 7th of July, and which is a candidate event for the World Rally Championship in 2020. The rally will also count towards the 2019 Africa Rally Championship Series. The starting order will be determined by the ARC seeding system, and that's based on special stage times as well as other factors. Kenyan rally legend Carl Flash Tunda will attempt to score a record-breaking 6th victory at the Safari. Tunda and the late Sheka Mehta have both won the event 5 times. To rev up for the Safari, Tunda will debut in the ARC Zambia International Motor Rally, which is slated for Ndola next month. And finally, the Azerbaijan capital of Baku will host the Europa League final tomorrow night. The furthest east a major European match in a UEFA competition has taken place. A former Soviet republic. And then on Saturday, that small match, of course, the UEFA Champions League final between Liverpool and Tottenham. That's on Saturday. 4 English clubs, 2 European finals. That's the latest sports for now.
Right, thank you very much for watching NTV Tonight. My name is Ken Mijungu, and thanks to David Agundoa. And of course, Sidebar is coming up right after this. And tonight we have a lot of issues to discuss. And already seated here are my guests for tonight, Dr. Lutalala Mkwana, who is a lawyer, is here with us. We have Millie Mabona, who is a member of parliament. And of course, we have Moses Kuria, 2022 presidential candidate and nominated Senator Halake is also seated here. Stay with us. We're back in a moment.
Allah